I'll never forget this night, and honestly, I don't think I ever want to. It happened a couple of years ago when my girlfriend and I decided to go on a little hiking and camping trip in a forest about an hour away from where we lived. It wasn't anything fancy. We just wanted to get out, clear our heads, spend a night away from everything. Before heading out, we stopped at this small pizza place off the highway, grabbed dinner, and then made our way toward the trail. By the time we got to the forest, the sun was already slipping behind the trees. You know that time of day when there's still light but everything feels dim, like the world is holding its breath? That's how it felt walking in. At first, everything seemed normal. Quiet. Too quiet, actually. I kept telling myself it was just the usual forest ambience, but after a while, it started feeling wrong. Like the silence wasn't natural. Like it was waiting. About 20 minutes into the hike, I got this weird feeling that someone was behind us. Not close, just following, watching. I tried brushing it off because I didn't want to freak my girlfriend out. But then she stopped mid-step and looked over her shoulder. She whispered, "Do you feel like someone's out here with us?" My stomach immediately dropped. I tried to play it off, told her it was fine, that we were just being paranoid because it was getting dark. But deep down, something didn't sit right. There was this instinct, this pressure in the back of my mind, telling me that we weren't alone. By the time we reached the little clearing where we planned to camp, the sun was completely gone. The only light came from the fading sky and the fire I managed to get going. For a while things calmed down. We ate, talked a little, but my girlfriend kept glancing toward the same patch of trees. After maybe 10 minutes of that, I finally asked, "Hey, what's wrong?" She didn't answer at first. She just slowly raised her arm and pointed. And the moment I followed her finger, every hair on my body stood straight up. Between the trees, just barely visible in the firelight, was a tall, black shape. Tall as in taller than any normal person should be, and a shape as in, it didn't look like someone wearing dark clothing. It looked like a shadow pretending to be human. My heart dropped into my stomach. I don't know what came over me, panic, stupidity, adrenaline, but I called out to it. I actually yelled, "Hey, what the hell are you doing?" The second the sound left my mouth, I regretted it, because the thing, whatever it was, turned. Not like a person turning their head. More like its entire upper body rotated at once, stiff and slow, like it wasn't made of joints. My girlfriend gasped and bolted into the tent. I wanted to follow her, but my legs locked up. I couldn't move. I couldn't even breathe right. The figure took one step, then another. Each step was slow, deliberate, and completely silent. The forest floor didn't crunch under it. The leaves didn't move. It was like it wasn't touching the ground at all. My girlfriend was crying inside the tent, begging me to get in. That sound, her voice shaking like that, somehow snapped me out of whatever trance I was in. I stumbled backward, practically dove into the tent, and zipped it closed. Inside, everything felt small. Too small. The air felt heavy and tight, like the whole forest was pressing against us. My girlfriend was curled up, terrified, and I told her to stay under the blankets and not make a sound. That's when I heard it. Footsteps, right outside the tent. Slow, circling, dragging against the dirt like something was pacing around us. I remember trying to control my breathing, but it felt impossible. My hands were shaking, and the entire tent vibrated just slightly, like whatever was out there was brushing against it as it moved. Then it happened. This scream, if you can even call it that. It wasn't human. It wasn't animal. It was like something trying to imitate a scream without understanding how vocal cords work. Broken, distorted, but loud enough to freeze every muscle in my body. My girlfriend clamped her hands over her ears and buried her face in my shoulder. I just sat there, staring at the thin fabric of the tent wall, half expecting to see a hand, or a face, or something push through. The scream didn't happen once. It kept happening over and over, spaced out by long stretches of silence so heavy it made my heart pound loud enough for me to hear it. I don't remember falling asleep. I don't even remember the moment things finally went quiet. It was like my brain shut down from fear. When morning finally came, we both woke up at the same time, like we had been jolted out of the same nightmare. Except when I looked at her, and she looked at me, We both had these deep black bags under our eyes. Like we hadn't slept at all. Like something had drained us. The clearing around the tent looked disturbed, branches bent, leaves overturned, but there were no footprints, nothing that made sense. We packed up in silence. No talking, no eating, just getting out of there as fast as we could. And the weirdest part? The forest felt normal on the way out. Birds were chirping. Wind was blowing. Like whatever happened that night was something the woods didn't want us to think too hard about. I don't know what we saw. Shadow, figure, spirit, something else entirely. But whatever it was, I felt something from it. Something dark, wrong. Like it wasn't supposed to exist here. I've never gone back to that forest, and I never will, because some places you only survive once, and some things should never be seen by human eyes. My father has always been a fearless man, the kind of guy who doesn't tolerate nonsense from anyone, family, strangers, doesn't matter. He's level-headed, he's calm, and he's got friends scattered across every distant corner of the country. But the place we're from, we're different. Superstition isn't just a belief here, it's part of who we are. The supernatural is woven into our culture, our daily lives, even our simplest routines. Black magic, curses, strange creatures hidden in the old jungles, none of it is rare where I come from. But this story isn't about curses or spells. It's about something older, something deeper, something that shouldn't have been there. My father told me this story when I was older, and even then he only told it once. I could hear in his voice that it still bothered him decades later. This happened in 1992. Back then, he and a group of his buddies planned a week-long trekking and camping trip in one of the jungle reserves. It wasn't something unusual, people did that all the time, but the jungle they picked was one of the oldest in the region. A place where the trees grow so tall and close together that sunlight barely reaches the ground. When our people enter a jungle like that, even just to relieve ourselves, we call out to the ancestors first. Atak, Nenek, Chuchu Eneke Buang Er Kessel Tau? Grandfather, grandmother, your grandchild needs to relieve himself. It's a sign of respect. And if you don't do it, the jungle has its own ways of reminding you why you should have. Anyway, my father and his friends weren't thinking about spirits that day. They were young, excited, full of energy. They loaded up 2 old 4x4 Jeeps and hit the road. By the time they reached the reserve, it was late, close to midnight, but they still thought they could make it to their camping spot before stopping. That confidence didn't last long. The deeper they drove, the quieter the jungle became. The kind of silence that presses against your ears. No wind, no birds, just the soft rumble of the engine and the crunch of tires on a beaten dirt path. My father was in the passenger seat of the first Jeep, half dozing, when the driver suddenly slammed the brakes. Everyone jolted awake, and there, in the glow of the headlights, was a figure. It was about 10 or 15 meters ahead, crouched low to the ground. At first my father thought it was maybe a person or an animal, but then he realized the posture was all wrong. It was squatting, but its legs bent so sharply it looked unnatural. His body was thin, painfully thin, almost skeletal. And the skin was pale and smooth, almost reflective. It glowed faintly under the headlights, like it didn't belong in the dark at all. No one said a word. They just stared. The jungle around them went completely still. Not a single insect sound, not even the rustle of leaves, just the soft hum of the engine and their own breathing. Then the thing moved. Not much, just a slight turn of its head. But even that was enough to send a cold wave down my father's spine, because when it turned, there were no eyes, no ears, no mouth, just smooth, pale skin stretching across where a face should have been. Yet it looked at them, like it knew they were there. My father told me he felt something in that moment, something primal. Like every instinct he had was screaming that this wasn't human, wasn't animal, wasn't anything he could understand. Slowly, deliberately, the figure began to rise. Its movements were too smooth, too controlled, almost gentle, like it didn't want to startle them. But that only made it worse. As it stood, they saw its arms, long, thin, reaching almost to its knees, and at the end of each arm were claws. Not fingernails, claws. The creature took one step forward, then another. Its steps were slow, soft, almost silent, like a big cat stalking prey, not urgently, not angrily, just confidently. My father said his heart was pounding so hard he could feel it in his throat, but the rest of his body felt frozen. Every man in both jeeps just sat there, watching, waiting. It got closer. 8 meters. 7. That was when something snapped in my dad's head. He slapped the shoulder of his friend who was driving, hard enough to break the trance, and yelled at him to reverse. At the same time, he leaned out the window and signaled frantically to the second jeep behind them to do the same. For a few seconds, nobody moved. Then both drivers suddenly floored it. The jeeps lurched backward, tires skidding on the dirt, engines roaring. They reversed as fast as they dared, dodging trees, bouncing over rocks, trying not to crash in panic. My father told me he kept his eyes on the figure through the windshield as they backed away. And the creature, it didn't run. It didn't chase them. It just stood there watching, which somehow felt even worse. When they finally reached the edge of the reserve and hit asphalt, nobody spoke. Not for the entire drive home. They didn't stop. They didn't look back. They just left. The next morning, when they all met up again, they agreed on one thing. None of them knew what they saw. And none of them would go back to that reserve again. My father still doesn't scare easily. He still doesn't believe in curses or magic. But whenever someone brings up the jungles, or creatures, or anything about that night, he just goes quiet. And to this day, if he ever steps into a forest, no matter how small, he always whispers under his breath, "Atak, nenek, chuchumasak dolu?" Grandfather, grandmother, your grandchild is entering, just to be safe. Let me start this off with a little bit of context and a warning. In certain parts of Africa, there's a creature that people talk about in hushed voices. A shape-shifting bird, massive, unpredictable, able to summon lightning storms without warning. It's called the Impundalu, or the lightning bird. And according to the stories, it doesn't just show up, it hunts. Now, I used to think that was just folklore, a story people told to explain strange storms or missing livestock. I never believed it, at all, until the day I came face to face with something I still can't explain. At the time, I was working on a climate study. I'm a tall guy, 6'2", and in my career I've seen some strange wildlife. Things that most people wouldn't believe unless they saw it themselves. But nothing prepared me for this. We were collecting environmental samples across different African terrains, deserts, grasslands, jungles. The region I got assigned to was this dense stretch of forest that felt almost untouched. The kind of place where the air is so thick and humid it feels like you're breathing water. My team dropped me off near the base camp and I hiked in a bit to get cleaner readings. Everything was normal, hot, quiet, the usual buzzing of insects, until out of nowhere I heard thunder crack, which made no sense. We check weather reports religiously. There were 0 predictions of storms. None. And yet, the sky darkened so fast it felt like someone pulled a curtain over the sun. Wind picked up, pressure shifted, the air went cold. Then lightning hit somewhere behind me, close enough that I felt it in my chest. I took shelter under a tree. Yeah, I know, stupid, but in the moment, instinct took over. Rain was pouring down so hard it sounded like static, and as I looked up, wiping water out of my eyes, I saw it. At first I thought I was hallucinating. There was this giant silhouette circling above the tree line. A bird, but far bigger than anything that should have existed. Wings as wide as a man is tall. Feathers black as night, reflecting the lightning with a sharp metallic sheen. I remember thinking, that's not possible. The biggest birds to ever exist died out decades ago. There shouldn't be anything that size still flying. But when it turned, when its eyes locked onto mine, something deep in my chest dropped. Its eyes were just black, stone black. No shine, no life, no fear. Just this cold, dead stare that made me feel like prey. Before I even had time to react, the thing folded its wings and dove straight at me. I barely moved in time. It hit the ground where I had been standing a second earlier, claws slicing through my shoulder like it was paper. If it had been an inch closer, I don't think I'd be here telling this story. I tried to back away, stumbling in the mud, but the bird was already coming around. When it spread its wings again, I realized it was almost the same size as me. Fighting it felt like fighting another person, but heavier, stronger, and fueled by something that wasn't natural. It lunged again, and this time I got my arms up just in time. Its claws scraped across my forearms, tearing skin open. The weight of it forced me down to one knee. Its feathers brushed across my face, cold and wet like they were soaked in ice water. And then it screeched. That sound, I'll never forget it. It wasn't a bird call. It wasn't even animal. It was like metal tearing mixed with thunder, piercing, vibrating, enough to rattle in my teeth. The world blurred for a second. My ears rang. Lightning flashed so bright I saw white. The creature backed up, crouched low, like it was preparing to strike again, this time with intention. I knew it wanted to kill me. There wasn't a doubt in my mind. The storm was roaring around us, rain pouring sideways, and I could barely see straight. It launched itself into the air, one final attack, and for a split second, everything slowed. I thought that was it. My life flashed in this strange, quiet way, faces, memories, moments I hadn't thought about in years. But the bird mistimed its dive, or maybe the wind pushed it off. Instead of hitting me dead on, one of its claws just grazed across my back, tearing through my jacket but somehow missing anything vital. I didn't wait to question it. I ran. I ran harder than I've ever run in my life. Through mud, through thick trees, slipping, falling, scrambling back up. I didn't even know where I was going. I just needed distance. Just needed to survive long enough to hide. Behind me I could hear it. Wings beating, circling, looking. I threw myself into some thick underbrush, curled up, trying not to breathe too loudly. Every second felt like an hour. Every shadow looked like the shape of those wings. The storm roared on, lightning flashing across the sky, and then eventually, silence. No wings, no thunder, no screeching, just the sound of rain easing off little by little. I stayed hidden for almost half an hour before I dared to move. When I finally made it back to the trail, I could barely walk. My clothes were soaked in blood and rain. When my team saw me, they didn't even ask what happened. They just rushed me straight to the hospital. The wounds weren't fatal, but they needed stitches. A lot of them. Even now, I replay that moment in my mind. Those stone black eyes, the impossible wingspan, the storm that arrived out of nowhere. Maybe it was the impundulu. Maybe it wasn't. I try to convince myself it was just a huge bird. Something rare. Something explainable. But the one thing I can't shake is the memory of those eyes. Lifeless. Cold. Like something that wasn't meant to exist in our world had decided, just for a moment, to look directly at me.